for you today, coming in hot from Dubai as well. We got tons happening here. Let's get right into it. And remember, guys, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And I've got a special guest today. I brought in 𝗂𝘅, and it's the perfect time where the market's nice and red. He can bring out his indicator stuff and kind of give us a little bit of direction here. And then I got James in the house. Hello, sir. Welcome, welcome. He's going to update us on the latest cyber attack in Europe and maybe some tanks in India or something. We're going to talk about that now. Okay, let's get into banter bubbles. Look, I think it's time that we had some kind of reversal, and I think that is starting to play out now. We had a lot of these altcoins sitting at major resistances. We had lots of bearish divergence on the 4-hour, on the 8-hour, and I think it was a matter of time that we were going to get some kind of pullback. But interestingly, these AI agents have woken up. Virtual still looking good. AI16Z, I've got that for you guys today. So we're going to cover all of these things, and guys, don't panic. Okay, this is what we like, and if it's going to play out according to the plan, we're going to get some higher lows on these altcoins, and we're going to get some absolute rippers. So just hang in there, and I've got some entries coming in hot for you guys. Okay, let's go. Let's see where we are. So BTC on the 2-hour at the moment, and you can see we're struggling at that major 95K resistance band. A little bit of pain here to the upside, and we just haven't been able to get through there. I was trying to break or trade this breakout over the last couple of days, and we just keep rejecting at the moment. So right now we know this is a massive zone for us for BTC, this 95K. If we do eventually break through this area, the next danger zone for me is going to be this 99 to 100K region, and that is probably where we are going to grab a couple of shorts. But in the meantime, what I'm looking at to the downside, if we are going to hit some key levels here on the 2-hour, you can see I've got a banger here, 92,670. Then I've got anything from 91.5 to about 90,500. That looks like a very interesting region to me on the 2-hour, and that should give us a little bit of time for our oscillator here on the downside to start playing out. So we just want this guy to start drifting a little bit lower and then catch some kind of reversal on that thing. But you can see, as always, some of the FUD that comes out and some of the bearish news and things like that always seems to play out when these tokens or when these markets are sitting at resistance zones. It's not a coincidence that this stuff is happening. But guys, that is what I'm watching now in the next 24 hours, that upside zone and this region down here on the 2-hour. Now we're going to look at this in a little bit more detail on a 3-day chart for you, just to give you a bit of perspective as to where we are in the market, because I think in the context of the market we have turned a little bit more bullish now, and we got to deal with that accordingly. Okay, let's go. Liquidation levels 261 million. This seems to be sort of on par for us at the moment, eh, James? Yeah, he's not happy with that. These rookie numbers over here. We want
same thing every day.
It's always the same. Yeah. We need a big flush out. So more of that is coming, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to tell you why I think these liquidation numbers are going to start really ramping up. But it's funny, you get these Bitcoiners who say they don't care about the price, but they're always wondering if we are going to go back to 100K. Look at these guys at the back there. They just want BTC at 100K. Now, here's something else. Did Jim Cramer just give us some bullish vibes here? He said a 1987 Black Monday style crash is coming to Wall Street. Now, we normally we like to counter trade things that he says, but he's made the statement now, and it looks like there's a cyber attack happening right now in Europe, and they've taken out some of the electricity here. Mario Norful reporting Spain eyes cyber attack as a possible cause for a blackout. Spain still doesn't know what knocked out power across the country. James, what is going on here, bro?
Everybody's talking. They don't know, right? They've been saying we're not sure, this, that. They keep saying it looks like a cyber attack. It started with hearing reports of Spain, then Portugal, then France, then Germany. It's just a lot of Europe, and I'm not sure how widespread it is. It's coming out now. I saw a bunch of pictures. Trains were stopped in the middle of the tracks. Planes are shut down. Everything is completely shut down. Banks aren't working. Nothing is working. I just saw a bunch of people out on the train tracks in the middle of nowhere, just stranded because the train no longer runs.
So guys, that's generally, markets don't normally like that type of thing, okay? And then we add to the mix the Indian and the Pakistan situation. It is adding a little bit of spice to markets around. I mean, we're talking tanks and we're talking all sorts of shit going down, but let's see how the S&P is handling. So the S&P doesn't seem to care that much right now, but we are very close to my short zone. Guys, are we going to get is Jim Cramer's thesis going to come right? Are we going to get our short here on the S&P. So I'm still watching this very closely. This 5,650 region for me is a nice rejection zone, and that'll be such a quality dead cat bounce to send us back into my original long zone that we never got when the market was falling over. So we're just sprinkling that here. That is still on the table for us. And then just an update as to where we were last week. I'm still running short on Google at the moment. So Google dropped or pumped into our first reversal zone up here in that region. And I've opened that short on BTCC. Now, I still only filled one of my orders. I was waiting for a second pump on Google to grab that second order there, but I am running short Google at the moment. So if you want to join me, you can trade with me on BTCC. Remember, you just send crypto to BTCC and you can trade Google, Microsoft, all these things, and all these other stocks as well with me. Remember, guys, everything I'm talking about today is sitting under the show description for you. All you do is go and click on more, and you will find all the links that I talk about. Everything that we discuss is sitting there for you guys. Okay. And Frank says someone pulled the plug. Yeah, I believe they might have there, Frank. Okay, now this is interesting. So we've seen BTC at resistance. We've seen altcoins at resistance. We've seen a lot of pressure, including the S&P. But look at this. 𝗏𝗏 says funding rate turns positive again and longs are dominant above 90K for BTC. A long squeeze might happen in the next few hours, he says. So if you're in a long position and in profit, he says it's a smart move to move up your stop. Okay, so maybe he needs to also get a bit of a hedging short strategy in play, which we can talk about in a couple of minutes. But he's dropping some warning signs here, guys. Now, this data doesn't always lie. You know, it does give some decent information here. Let's pay attention to the signs that are there, and let's not go and get a little bit too euphoric. Things have been really pumpy over the last while. We've enjoyed the move, and just an update from my massive positions that I've been running over the last couple of last week or three. I've closed most of them. What I'm still running at the moment is Link, which is pretty big still, and Nia, and I'm teeing that up for a bullish pullback, and then hopefully we're going to add to the size on some of those. But in terms of being max long, I have shut down a lot of those longs here in anticipation of some kind of pullback. Now, something else that is going to guide us as well is the 1 week liquidation heat map. Look how beautiful this thing is looking to the downside. Look at all this juice here. All these late longers in the last couple of days. Look at that, all the way down to 87K. It's looking very spicy down there. Quite an easy move for the market makers if they want to come and just clean up that liquidity before they send it higher. Now, obviously, bearing in mind, we have a ton of liquidity up to 97K as well, but you can see they can really start a cascading little move down into 87. So the question you need to ask yourself is, are you prepared for that in case it happens? Now, I'm not saying we can guarantee that it's going to fall over that deeply, but with the information in front of us, let's just be smart about things. And, let's not be max giga long when the market is maybe telling us a little bit else. Okay, so let's talk BTC on the 3-day, and I've specifically ask Chaos to bring his indicator magic here as well, because I just want to give you a little opinion as to where I think we are. So we looked a couple of days back, we saw all the altcoins, we saw BTC, we saw all these things printing bullish divergence on the 3 days, and that was telling us, guys, tee up. We're looking for higher lows, and that is what we got. We got a beautiful altcoin pump. We've got beautiful moves out of BTC, and I still think we can print higher lows here, considering that we've closed our weekly above this major horizontal. And this major horizontal for me was the 200-day MA. It was big support. It was big weekly support as well, above 90K, and really nice to see that we have now closed above that region. And in terms of the rejection zone, again, the most basic TA you can imagine, literally pulling a 618 from the macro high to the macro low. You don't need anything too fancy for this, guys. It's simple TA, 95, 950. Look at that rejection on a macro 618, okay? My work here is done. I mean, what else must I say about this?
Juicy, extremely juicy.
Like, we can really keep TA so simple if we want to. Sometimes we overcomplicate things, but in terms of what I'm looking for here at the moment, guys, and it really a simple bullish pullback for me on BTC would be the ultimate for me. And if we take into account this this chart we're watching here, anything into this box looks very longable, and that looks like a beautiful shakeout there. We'll clean out all the late longs. People will get maximum bearish. Look at that, 87,600. Look at that level, and look how that ties into our liquidation heat map. Look at that 87K at the bottom there. A beautiful clean out, and then we're firing up some longs. Captain, the alchemist. Show me where are we on BTC, bro. Tell me what's going on. Yeah, I'm pulling up your chart.
Similar sort of view, bro. Just
and
pull the
Neil says he got rinsed this morning. Okay, there's your chart.
Okay, cool. So I've just gone to the daily. Obviously, you had the 3-day. I've come down to the daily. There are so many things on this screen that point to a bit of a pullback. So the first thing that you guys got to notice, we've got a box here which starts at about 90.5 and comes down to roughly the 88.5 region. Okay, now there are a whole list of things that we can look at. We've been bouncing off this VWAP. We've obviously had there's the money flow point of control, or the money point of control rather, which runs right through the middle. We're just in there now. We're looking to reject off that. We've got a quantum reactor, which comes with chart prime. It's the green line that's been running through. It's currently grey. What I'd expect now is actually for this line to turn red and us to reject on here. Obviously, our equilibrium point is just a little bit lower, and I wouldn't like to sort of hit 80 grand again, but I'm conscious that we're somewhere between premium and equilibrium. And we did bounce off there, and we've slowly made our way down. Now, the oscillator as well, it's topped out. It's given us the color change. It's given us the reversal. Okay. We have been red on the cash flow, which, as you can see, translated nicely to here. We went green. Now what's happened is the green looks like it's topping out here. We may come red again. So honestly, something along that line wouldn't surprise me. There are so many reasons why we can dip back into this box. So 88.5 to 90.
Yeah, so guys, I mean, look, there you go. I mean, it's really simple stuff here, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just looking at some simple TA. We're looking at some simple charts here, and that makes a lot of sense that we get a pullback. And it doesn't mean we have to turn bearish. Obviously, if you're max long on max leverage and stuff, you're going to feel a lot of deep burn. But if you're running a hedging strategy or you're opening a couple of shorts every now and again, well, you're going to be covered. But I think we are okay down to those types of levels. So, guys, that is what we're going to be tracking. Remember, all these charts that you see here go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show. And Chaos is in Chart Hackers. He's one of our gun traders in there, and he's running something called the 20% Club. So he'll tell you about that in Chart Hackers. Okay, we're going to bring him in just now because he tells me he's got a giga set up for us, and he's got something else.
FARTCOIN. Potential.
FARTCOIN. Okay, I've got FARTCOIN too. So we're gonna double cover that stinker. Okay, let's go. What do we got here? Alt season is coming, sure. Let's go to bed. Okay, now who's feeling like this? Well, I mean, I think if you've been watching the show long enough, you know we're not big believers in alt season. We're believers in an alt day or an alt week or something like that. But, you know, we're not going to watch that. Mark, bro, what are you talking about? How can you be depressed, bro? We're getting entries. We're here to hunt entries. And I see in the chats, Panda's hunting me now. You know, Panda is on his way right now. He's coming to fetch me. And there he is. He's on the loose looking for me. He's heading here right now. Okay, so I've got to hurry up the show so we can make sure we are ready for him. Now, remember this thing. This never fails. This 4-hour RSI. Did I cover this on Thursday and Friday? Did I say to you guys, these RSIs are getting overbought? It's time to start being careful with what we are doing. It's time to start looking at some hedge plays. Now you can see they've all rolled over. And this is a beautiful guide, guys. A simple 4-hour RSI heat map. And now we can see this thing's dropping. So when do we get max bullish again? When we hit the lows. Okay, we want to see weak and oversold. When we start pushing into that region, that is going to start telling us a story that maybe it's time to start looking for a couple of reversals. So remember, just be patient. Okay, hang in there. I'm going to show you a story where I've taken one trade in the LBank competition and it got me up to first place. Now I was super patient. I waited very long and then we got to first place. But I see one of our traders in Hackers, Sniper Paul, he has come and he's now taken me out. I believe he's trading WIF at the moment. So we're going to look at that in a couple of secs. Now let's finish these altcoins here, and we can see dominance is looking strong on the daily, on this daily candle we're watching. And again, dominance, not a complicated thing to watch, but a beautiful thing in terms of altcoin rejections and altcoin bounces. All you want to do is track dominance on major supports and you want to track dominance at major resistance. When you reject at major resistance, the altcoins generally get a bounce. And when you bounce on major support, the altcoins generally reject and they feel a little bit of pain. So you can see in terms of TA, some basic stuff going on here with dominance. We dropped into the zone, the altcoins rejected, and dominance has bounced. Remember, you want to use this combination of all these things together to really help you with your trading and understanding when to really push the button hard and understanding when to maybe just take your foot off the gas. Remember, I always emphasize about reading the room, understanding the context of where we are in the current move. And we've had a beautiful week or two, but now maybe we just dial it down a little bit, wait for our opportunities, and then we strike again when it's time to start cooking. Okay, so let's cover ETH now. Are we ever going to see 1383, or do I have to get this one adjusted? But let's take a look. So the first thing I picked up today is ETH on the 4 hour, and what I want to highlight for you guys is obviously we can see super bearish on the RSI at the moment, and we are currently halfway down. So if we do push it into that type of region, I think we are pretty close to a long soon on ETH. And I do like this positive thick green cash flow band at the moment, which is also telling us maybe we need to look for higher lows. We need to favor longs in these types of situations. Another indicator for me for ETH, look at that, head and shoulders at the moment. And we know that's a bearish setup on ETH. And if a head and shoulders is going to play out, well, typically it's going to move, a similar distance to the head and the shoulders. So what you're going to be looking at here is potentially a bounce coming right now on ETH at about 1720, maybe a short-term little bounce. And then ultimately, I think we're going to be looking for fresh longs here on ETH at 1675 down to, let's say, 1640. Somewhere in that region for me is starting to make sense as a potential long zone on ETH. So we're going to try and highlight that for you guys and give it a little bit of breathing room if you are looking for a move. Remember, what we want to do here, or what we want to see, is all these altcoins, they are in beautiful uptrends, okay? So they're in rising trends, and all we want to do as alt traders is make sure these things are holding their trends. If they start losing these rising trends, well, you typically get a bounce at the next horizontal, but then these things ultimately turn bearish and they send us to zero, okay? So it's as simple as that. Potential longs, 1670, guys, down to 1620. Play around in that area. If we lose and we close under that type of level here, look for the bounce at 1500, 1530, and then it's probably a bearish bounce and you're going to be looking for shorts. Okay, so simple, keep it very basic here. Rising trend in play, head and shoulders. We can see possible bounce coming now at 1730, that type of region, and don't get too bullish on it. Okay, maybe a short-term little bounce here on ETH, and just cover yourself where possible. Now, another one for me is Solana. Also, look at this, a beautiful head and shoulders in play for Sol at the moment. Look at that. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And that tells me maybe some more downside coming for Sol in terms of where can this thing bounce, guys. 142.5. Look at this little banger over there. So look for a little bounce there, 142.5. If that fails, or if that is a short-term bounce, you're going to see a nice little downtrend like that. And you're probably going to pick up Sol at about 133 down to about 129. Somewhere in that box for me makes sense for Sol. So be ready for both scenarios. I'd say we are pretty close to a short-term bounce, but look out for something like that on Sol. Okay, so that could make sense if we start falling over. And then remember, if you lose things like the 50-day MA, we know this thing is super bullish, and what you want to see is obviously a close on a higher time frame above the 50-day MA. So you might get a situation where they bleed you down, but they come and tap another level. Okay, for example, 124 could be tapped. Look out for a wick there on a 12-hour or a daily candle. Look out for a sharp stab into that zone and then a quick reclaim into that area, and that could also be bullish again for Sol. Okay, so 142.5, 133 to 129 makes a lot of sense to me there on Sol. Atal, welcome, bro. Just joined the community. The alpha and mentoring is priceless. Nice, sir. Well, look, you found the right place. You're going to get covered shorts. You're going to get covered longs. You're going to learn so much shit. You're going to learn degen plays on leverage, and we're covering all of that in Chart Hackers for you guys. We've got a separate education section for you guys where we're clipping cool stuff. And I've actually got something else we've done recently for you guys in Chart Hackers, and it's a free TikTok that you guys can follow. So go and follow us on TikTok. This is Chart Hackers on TikTok, and you can see there, you can see me there, and there's FJ from Chart Hackers, and he's been running a semi sort of podcast situation, and he's interviewing all the traders, and he's getting a little bit of a side to us that you're not going to find anywhere else. You're only going to find it on TikTok. You're not going to find it in Hackers. You're not going to find it in YouTube. This is for you guys here on TikTok. So give us a follow, and you're gonna get into our minds. Okay, you're gonna get into DJ and Dave. You're gonna get into 𝗂𝘅's head. You're gonna get into Trader J, Panda, and all these things over there. Okay, so follow us there on TikTok if you want a little bit of that action. Okay, let's go. Let's make money, travel, enjoy. Says chart hackers in terms of trading is making handbag. Correct. Okay, my wife's very happy with the traders and chart hackers. Okay, let's go. This is an update on my AAVE trade from last week, Thursday, Friday. We started that AAVE position, and a little bit of squeaky bum time here for me. So I started growing that position. It's now $10,000 in size, and you can see I'm a little bit red at the moment. So I'm still holding on this position, and we're going to manage this one accordingly. So just go back to AAVE. Anybody still sitting in this thing, there is still a couple of things that you need to pay attention to. And number one is our big support has been tested a couple of times, and that is our 50-day MA. That's 160. And then I've got you guys covered at about 148, 149. You can see it looks very much like the Bitcoin chart. If we do get a drop here, that is going to be the next possible bounce zone on AAVE. So just play this thing accordingly here. 160 to 159, and then 148 to, let's say, 145, somewhere in that region is starting to make sense for me on AAVE, depending how big the pullback is on BTC. But that is essentially, what we're going to be looking for if we lose that 50-day MA. Okay, so all is not lost here. I'm running this trade on CoinX at the moment, and you can see my liquidation at the moment is 161, and might actually add some margin and get some buys in if we start drifting lower into those big zones. Okay, so we just got to manage these trades, and remember, we're not getting all of a sudden super bearish here at the moment. We are just saying we're looking for higher lows, and if there is a pullback, it's pretty healthy for the market to get a nice little flush out and just clean out and really ramp up those liquidation numbers so we can have a fresh start and a fresh bounce for us. Okay, 𝗂𝘅, you've got Giga. Okay, so we're going to talk about Giga in a sec, but now you can see this tweet from Jeremy. He says how it started. I wonder what support and resistance means. And then he goes, how's it going? Okay, and you've heard me say a couple of times here, let's keep our TA super, super simple. Okay, and what you can do, guys, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with TA, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed watching the show, not quite understanding what I'm doing, well, what you can do is join my accelerator school. It's what I've done for you guys, is made very short, concise, and understandable videos for you guys to turn from zero trading to a leverage trader in 10 days. Okay, you can literally accelerate your trading, and that's why I called it the accelerator course. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with the whole video,
the trading accelerator. You are here because you want to learn how to amplify your gains super quick. Well, this course is designed for you. The beginning of your trading journey can be full of frustration. I've been there, and this is why I'm here.
Okay, guys, go and watch the video. You can see, come join my accelerator course. You'll get a taste of what it's about. You'll understand why I get so excited when the market is red. Okay, not necessarily a bearish situation for us. Now, let's talk LBank and let's talk FARTCOINs, because 𝗂𝘅 has also got some FARTCOIN here for us. Now, you guys will note, I think last week sometimes I said to you guys, I'm giving you a head start on the LBank competition, and when there's a couple of days left, I'm going to come for you. I'm going to take a trade. And what I said to the hackers this past weekend, I gave them a clue. I said, I've got a trade coming. It's a 4-hour reversal. I spoke it about my show on Friday. Then I was in the chats dropping a couple of hints to the guys. And then I eventually said how to win the LBank comp in one trade. I dropped it there in the chats for the guys, and we nailed the trade. And off she went. Okay, so right now, let's see where we are. Okay, there we go. We're coming number 2 at the moment. Okay, and so there, number 2 for me, and 191%. I wonder who this is. Maybe it is our Whiff King there. He's one of our Chart Hackers members. And we're going to see. The showdown is coming in hot, because this tournament now is nearly done. Okay, so if you guys want to have one last gasp at the LBank tournament and try and take me out the top there, what you can do is go sign up in the show description here and come and see if you can take me out on one trade. Now, let's talk about this, because it feels like I cut this thing super early. I think I closed it at about 1.14. I think it was somewhere here. Okay, and you can see this thing ultimately ran to about 1.23. Now, what I waited for here, and I kept it really simple again, guys, and a lot of the DGen guys found themselves getting stopped out a little bit early. But what you can do on things like FARTCOIN is keep it really, really simple. So you dial into lower time frames, 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour, and you just typically look for some hot reaction zones, and you look for divergence prints on the oscillator. When you start seeing the divergence prints, it's basically a money printer. Okay, when you see that happening on big support, it tells you a story story, it tells you that there's a chance of a reversal. So like I've explained to you guys many times before, you get two types of trades. You can get the degen trade where you look for a short little stop loss in a zone like that, and you can try this thing twice, or you get a laddering in trade where you can identify that you might be getting a reversal near some good support, and what you can do, which is exactly what I did, is start laddering into the position on weakness, backing your big levels and backing the fact that my oscillator is going to tell me we're going to get a reversal. And that's what we used for that reversal play. And that's how ultimately I took one trade to get to first position. Now, again, it's a lesson again in over trading. You don't need to over trade. You don't have to take 100 trades, to be successful. You can wait. You can take 1 or 2 trades per week. It depends on the time frame that you are trading. Now, you'll learn about that in Hackers as well. You'll learn about that in the accelerator course. But one of our gun traders is Degen David. He's a swing trader. He runs a full-time business. The guy's super busy. He's also a DJ, and he takes 1 or 2 trades per week. Okay, he's an amazing swing trader, and he will teach you a couple of things in there as well. Okay, so Chaos, let's say we're looking for new FARTCOIN entries. Before I give my views, I'm keen to hear what the Alchemist has to say. Let's see what you got. Do you know what?
I have got some beef with you, man. So you took one trade and you shot to first. Okay, I've been top 5. I'm not going to tell you the exact position. I've been top 5 since the competition launched, and as there's 2 days left, I felt necessary to increase my trading by about 700%. I'm now top 20, I might add.
Over trading, guys. There's a lesson in over trading. Wait for the reversals. What's the rush? Who cares if you missed a little breakout? Okay. Give us a FARTCOIN assessment here.
Okay, cool. So we are on the 3 hour, just because in hindsight this thing always works really well on certain time frames. Okay, I've drawn in an ascending channel or wedge or whatever you want to call it, because it is slightly tightening. So we'll call it an ascending channel. You can see all the times we've hit the top and all the times we've hit the bottom. Okay, we've got the premium, we've got the equilibrium, and we've got the discount zones marked out. We've got a point of control that runs through the middle. Okay, and what we notice with FARTCOIN on the 3 hour is that we've made our way up right the way through these different zones. We've claimed the point of control. We've obviously set our premium zone, and now what we're doing is we're actually bounced for a 3rd time off the top part of the channel, and we started to pull back. Okay, now we did make an equal higher here. Even though the token's been making a series of higher highs, higher lows, and so on, we get to the point where it seems quite exhausted. Now, if you combine that with the fact that we look at the oscillator, generally speaking, when we get an overbought and the color changes from green to red, okay, and we start to get our move down, what tends to happen at this level is we make some sort of top, okay, and then we get the price action that follows. Obviously, this isn't every case, but there's another example. Overbought, we pushed up this divergence here, we pushed up a leg, and then we got the move down. Okay, so it's not every time, but more often than not, there is another example, guys. Top, down we came. So at this point, we've made an overbought top. Okay, we've had our RSI come up. We've now given it, or it's now given us, shall we say, a change of color. Okay, and the cash flow as well is starting to angle downwards. So what I'm essentially looking for now is for this to play out. So we ping the premium. What I'm expecting, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this, is at the very least another ping to this level where we touch this box, and this would bring us to somewhere in the region of 102 down to 97, and there is obviously a wick here which takes us right down to 94. So this whole area of demand essentially, which is equilibrium plus the support zone, down to about 94, 95. If you saw 94, 95, I would say that's an excellent opportunity to take out a long. You'd obviously watch this, you'd see if this is reset, made the turn, and is now angled upwards. And at that point, I'd be looking to go long. So we're not ready to go.
I 100% agree with you. And I think the secret with FARTCOIN, guys, and this is for everybody there, we know FARTCOIN can give you some absolute banging returns, but we also know FARTCOIN can rinse the fuck out of you very quickly. And that is why I always start FARTCOIN very small and I ladder in. I give myself a 10% leeway. I ladder in slowly. And whatever my risk capital is, I make sure it's the right capital for that 10% loss that I'm prepared to take. Okay. So that's why you always see some of my positions are really big. And FARTCOIN, I always start small because we can always get momentum later. And remember, something like FARTCOIN can print handbags for you pretty quickly if it starts moving. Okay, so I love a reversal on FARTCOIN, like a proper reversal. And for me, it's always these divergences at key levels. So I just flat out look for that type of stuff. On the 2 hour, tie it into a nice horizontal and bang on what Chaos is saying. Look at that. We've got a double top and we're probably going to drop into this zone here. And if we get a bounce on FARTCOIN, I suspect there's going to be, even if it's bearish, there is going to be a nice move here of a few percent that you can take advantage of. So you're probably going to find there's a 20% move coming on this thing. But are you patient enough to wait for it? You can see the 2 hour that we love to watch. Look at this thing turning over at the moment. Give it time. Let it come down. Let it print some divergence. And it could take a couple of days to play out. Remember, there's no rush with this stuff. Just be patient. Let it play out. Okay. And Dallas says, is LBank comp for the show? Dallas, it's for both. It was anybody in my community that trades on LBank, whether you sign up on the show or sign up in Hackers, you guys have access to that comp. It's a Lord of Entry competition. So as long as you sign up on my links, you can take advantage. Remember, the first prize is $3,000. Fifth prize is $1,000. Okay, so anybody can get a piece. Obviously, guys, if I come second or whatever the story is, I'm giving away my prize to whoever's below me. There's obviously no ways I'm keeping that. So that whoever finishes behind me is going to get that. Okay, let's go. Let's talk other entries here. Yeah. Okay. Super. This one. Gaming play, beautiful narrative. Okay, we know we had a banger super trade. We had a banger super trade last week. That was, and I think Panda also caught that one on Friday. That thing's looking good. I think if the market remains bullish, we need some gaming in our armory. Whether you're trading BMEX, whether you're trading Gala, whether you're trading Super, just pick one of them. And if the gaming narrative moves, you know it's always a safe place to be when the narrative moves. So in terms of Super, you can see not the worst at the moment. It is consolidating a little bit at the moment. You can see a nice flag here, so definitely not looking as bad as say things like Solana and ETH with the head and shoulders. This is just a little bit of consolidation. So for me on Super, I've got a couple of zones I'm watching. You can see immediately on the 4 hour, it's got some work to do to the downside. So let's just get this thing there first, and then we start looking at some bangers. Let it play out, and then JR says, what? LBank gave him what? More than he deposited. Yeah, well, LBank payout actual cash, real money bonuses for your trading volume. So in LBank, you're trading. They actually pay you actual dollars into your spot account that you can withdraw. Okay. Now, in terms of Super, where can I see a bearish pattern forming? Well, it could look like this. Okay. So you can see we've got a possible left shoulder. We've got a possible head here. If we do get a drop, I'm expecting a bounce on Super. So you'll have a nice trade coming, and then potentially a little bit lower down for us where we're going to look for that divergence or that reset on the 4 hour. Okay, so in terms of what I'm looking for now, possible bounce on Super at around about the 65 region. If you get that dip there, look for that bounce. So 65 down to even 63, somewhere there could give you a bounce. But what you're typically going to find then is a potential print here, and then you might have to look for that divergence, and that divergence might take you down into something like this. So what I ultimately just want you guys to be prepared for here is, what if the market falls over? Okay, so you don't want to gun too hard on every time you hit a good support level, bearing in mind that every time you tap these supports, it might just be the beginning of a mini downtrend until we get resets on our oscillators. So just look out for these types of things if they do start playing out, because you can get that for a while. Remember, when we are bullish, we got this beautiful uptrend. Look at this beautiful uptrend here for us. And then at some point that trend breaks. Remember, we lose that trend and then things turn bearish again, and we go a little bit bearish. We dial down the position sizing and we play it cool. And then when the time is right, when we're seeing reversals and when James is getting maximum bullish, bearish, that's when we start looking for longs again. So when James is basically saying, fuck this, I'm not going to be trading, then we're going for longs again. Okay. we got you. Okay, guys. So super. That's the plan there. Then let's talk a couple of things from last week. So I've closed a lot of my positions. Okay. And I think in hindsight now, that was the correct move. And it was very difficult to close some of them because the FOMO of a token that you're in on a big size pumping is pretty stressful if it runs away from you. But I think discipline really needs to come into play here, and thankfully have closed a lot of those bigger positions. So right now you can see what I'm doing. I'm just running my hedge strategy once again. So near, you can see I'm still long near $177,000 long, and I've got a near hedge short, $50,000 short. If the market falls over, this is teeing me up for a bullish bounce. It's teeing me up for a higher low. I can close that short, add to my long. You can see I've got WIF as well, $50,000 short on WIF, and that thing's 3,300 up at the moment. I've got a link long, $140,000 long on link, and I've got a link hedge short, small position here, 15,000 short in case there is a little bit of pullback. So you can see I'm heavily weighted in favor of longs because my thesis here is, or my bias is, that we're going to get a higher low. And I obviously want to be able to be ready for that. And obviously, if I'm wrong, I'm going to get absolutely rinsed and give up those profits. But that is what I'm looking for. And these shorts obviously just help your account. It also helps your trading confidence on the way down when you can see green on the way down. You don't have to stare at red all day. And don't ask me about this OM, but it's a little degen play here, okay? Degen Dave actually whispered in my ear. And James, what's the news on this thing? Is there a token burn coming? What's the story?
Yeah. Because he's supposed to be speaking at this conference you're at here in 2 days.
Something like that.
Yeah, and he's supposed to burn the remainder of whatever the team holds.
Okay.
Right? I think it's 150 million tokens or something like that.
Okay, so I mean, in the context of the supply, I don't know the numbers, I don't know fundamentally, but if there's a token burn, okay, literally as a token, if he's burning it, it could add a little bit more bullish sentiment. Maybe the market might feel that these guys are going to stick around and they do want their project to succeed. Remember, the big story here was, there was a massive dump and everybody lost faith in the team and the whole project. And that thing obviously sold off 95%. So if they can revive things and burn some tokens and show good faith, maybe it's a buy. Okay, so I've been slowly nibbling at a position. You can see I'm $9,500 in the position. Whenever there's weakness, I'm just adding little bit, and we're going to see how this plays out this week. If there is a token burn and the market likes that, maybe we're going to get a big pump out of OM. So you can see I'm underwater. My average entry is 54 at the moment, and just nibbling away. And let's see if we get some kind of pump out of this thing. Okay, so that is that plan there. And then let's look at near and let's look at link. And just to update you, where I feel we're going here at the moment. So right now with link, you can see we're moving into an actual bounce zone. And now Chaos, maybe you can check link out for me because I suspect we are going to get a bounce here on link. I don't know how big it's going to be, but I'm feeling for me, link 14.4 down to about 14 is a possible bounce area here for us. So there could be a little degen play here on link in that area. Okay, just play safe. Okay, looking for a bounce. Now, no guarantees how high it goes because you can see it's got the similar vibe to Sol and ETH. It's got a bit of a head and shoulders here. So maybe a short-term little bounce there. And then maybe we're looking at that 50-day MA. Now, remember, this 50-day MA is an absolute banger. Okay, we know these tokens want to come back and test support. And look at this other little secret weapon I've got here, the VWAP from the extreme lows. That's a banger for me. Okay, so 13.8 down to about 13.4 looks like a nice bounce zone for me on link. Chaos is panic charting link here. Look at him, he's stressed, panic charting it. Okay, have you got it? Okay, let's see what Chaos has got here. Let me remove mine.
Let me just say to Adam in the chat, it's on the 3 hour, sir, for that token. So you can go ahead and check that. I'll put all of the charts in Hackers afterwards. Okay, link. I've just brought the 4 hour chart up. Now, I haven't done anything on this apart from load the chart in. I've obviously drawn a previous line, which was obviously a line of support and resistance, which, as you can see, guys, has been respected right the way back to here, which is February. So it's a fair old chunk. Looking at today's entries, we obviously came down on the RSI through our bearish divergence. That actually, obviously, the reason it's bearish is because we got that high. It's played out. We are now making our way down. The diagonal, which obviously is a trend line, shouldn't just be respected on its own, happens to intersect perfectly with this level of support and resistance. That level is 1430 to 1445, shall we say, which is, if I zoom in a bit, awfully close to where we are now. Very close. So I would say if you were to open your chart, you can see that the candles have changed from green. They're sort of graying out now. They may well come pink or red, but I imagine you'll get this playing out just for a few candles longer. This is the 4 hours. So sometime into tonight or early in the morning, maybe with Asia, this will be your reaction zone. Dylan, what was your number? 14?
So I've got, I mean, I think we're going to get a bounce there. So that is at 14.4 down to 14.1. That's a nice area for me.
This wick. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Same view, brother. Same view. Look down here. That gives this RSI a chance to play out once again and then give us our reversal. Yeah. I would have thought a limit order around 14.2 should be grand. Yeah,
guys, I mean, it's in a reaction zone. It's in a reaction zone now. Okay, but it just might be a short-term little bounce here on Link. Okay, so look out for that. And then I've got a banger. If the market turns bearish, guys, 13.5, put an alarm on your charts. 13.5, watch that area. Okay, that's a combination of the 50-day MA. It's a VWAP from the lows. I'm telling you, that's going to give you something there out of Link. Now, in terms of degen plays, I've got 𝗬𝗍 for you guys. I just want to finish near because obviously this is quite a big position for me as well. And in terms of what we were looking for on near, guys, remember that retest of the 50-day moving average is so important. And this is what we covered last week. So we looked at a rejection for near at that 2.72. Look at that, bang into that rejection zone. And it was a very tough decision for me to keep near open at those levels. I must say, I kept on looking. I think at the time it was $35,000 up, something like that. And I kept on saying, I want to back the higher bounce or the higher low here for me on Link. And, I'm letting this one play out. So I've got that hedge short running. Let's see if that short can take me to Valhalla. And what is Valhalla for me? Well, let's take a look here and let's just adjust some of our levels again. So if we get a medium-sized dip here in the market, what I want to see for near, okay, is 2.37. That makes sense to me. Okay, 2.37. That's a medium-sized dip in the market. And then we've got quite a big zone here at this 2.26. And you can see we've got a lot of horizontal talking to us in that area. And this is our 0.5. So that for me, I've marked a long zone here for you guys as well. 2.26, 2.27. Watch that area. Obviously, ideally, we hold the 50-day MA. You're going to see some of these alts now are moving on to support. And then in terms of the 4 hour, we're nearly done. Okay, our work is nearly done. We could see, remember the drill. Now, this is important, guys. If you want to take anything out of the show, it's this right now. Okay, when you are sitting at major resistance, doesn't matter what token it is, if you see divergence playing out, okay, bearish divergence, look at this bearish print here. Look what dog shit that was looking like and what was near pushing into a major macro fib zone for us. We know when we're seeing divergence on support or we're seeing divergence at resistance, there are clues there to not ape. You don't want to go the wrong way too hard. And that tells a story. And you can see now it's reacted. Okay, sometimes these take longer than you expect to play out. And I see Matt says your near position size, it's no sleep at night size. Bro, that's why I developed the hedge short strategy, because if the market falls over, bro, I'm printing all the way down. It's totally fine with me. Okay, so that's why, guys, join Hackers. I'll teach you that shit. Okay. Okay, so guys, that's near. Obviously, upside play for me in a dream scenario. We get a second kick out of the market and we're looking at 2.9. We're looking at 3. That's where I ultimately would love to close that trade. Okay, obviously, trades don't always go the way you think they're going to go. And that's why I've closed a lot of those longs already. And I'm prepped for a bounce on near, looking for higher. Okay, here's a degen play, guys. Do you want to go to 0 with me, Chaos?
Again, for sure. I've got 𝗬𝗍 as well, by the way, on the 15 minute as well. Brilliant. Okay,
so I've taken a long on 𝗬𝗍 on 𝗶𝗆, a tiny position, guys. Remember, I'm trading $170,000 on near. Okay, I've opened 3,500 on 𝗬𝗍 at the moment on 𝗶𝗆. This is a short-term potential bounce play. The reason I'm saying this is a short-term play is the first thing I want to show you is the bigger picture chart. And the bigger picture chart tells us 𝗬𝗆 is exhausted, okay? But what the bigger picture chart also tells me is I've got a 618 and I've got a super bearish order block a little bit higher up. So there's a possibility that this thing can pop one more time into this major rejection zone here, 4 to 4.2. That's the ultimate bear zone there on 𝗬𝗆, and that might coincide on the 12-hour that we're looking at, for example, with some kind of divergence play. If you get a bearish divergence on a 12-hour and a pump from 𝗬𝗆 into a macro zone like that, that's 618 at 3.98 into 4.2, that is a hands-down banger short zone. Okay, so I'm watching that one closely. Obviously, the degen in me says, okay, maybe we're going to get a bounce here. 𝗏𝗏s, he's very good at scalping with these indicators. Show me what you got.
I can show you something. Yeah, very similar to what you're talking about now. Funny, I didn't know you were going to bring this up. However, very simply, I have opened up a long here. Okay, this is the 15-minute candle. 30% of my position, guys. My next 30% is going to be here at 3.4. And then the final 30%, or 38%, 39%, whatever it's going to be to get my 100% of the position, is going to be at $3.41. But what I'm basically doing is I'm also banking on a long, but I'm also banking on the fact that we see this discount zone. And if we don't, I'm already in here. I'll be half in there as long as we tap. What's that?
I love it when you say discount zone.
Discount. And then my third entry is there. So my little stick man I've drawn here, I'm already in a long here. Okay. What I'm looking for is a change of color with the candles. So go from a bit like here, red to light pink to green. We're on a quantum reactor, which is this line here, guys. We may literally bounce here. So that's one of the reasons why I've entered already. But I'm hedging my hedge in as much as I've only 30. Yeah, so I've only a third of my position of the hedges in. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how we go.
Okay, so look, guys, look, this is a proper degen play. You can see the context of 𝗬𝗆. It's like, it's totally overpumped. If there's anything, yeah, it's the last kicks of a dying horse. I'm saying that a lot lately. I love that phrase. But anyway, here it is. So on the 15, what we might get out of this thing is a little divergence play on the 15 minutes. Now, let's just look at what we get here, even a reversal print. So the last time we got a reversal print on the 15 on 𝗬𝗆, there was obviously a nice pump out of this thing. Then a couple of other occasions, look at that, a little reversal print, nice little pump there, reversal print, nice little pump there. Okay, so you get the picture. And sometimes when you see 100x long, bro, sometimes when you see a little divergence or a little reversal print, there's one more dip on this thing, and maybe it's there. Okay, maybe it's there, but it's coming. Okay, so I started a small position in case we get a little bit of momentum there on 𝗬𝗆. It's a proper degen play. Okay, so let me give you guys parameters to work with here so you don't get rinsed. And let's just look at it. So if you want to take a full-on and proper degen play, and obviously the tighter your stop, the higher your risk of getting stopped out and this thing eventually moving in the correct direction. So just understand how you're playing this thing. You can see the big zones here for us. Let's highlight this for you. That's going to be this guy over there. Okay, that's going to be your next area that you're going to be watching. And for me, your risk, if you want to play this area, and you can see I've started it small because there's an opportunity here to build a position. Okay, so 3.55 to about 3.4, that's a 4% zone. Okay, so what you could do if you wanted to was look at something like that. You just ladder in on weakness here, and ultimately you're expecting a bounce somewhere in that zone, and then you're going to get that slingshot move on this thing. Now, obviously, it's hard to say how high it's going to go, but if we play the context right and we look at this thing and we say, if there is one more move, you could get a 15%er out of this thing. Okay, so that is what I'm looking at. And Maruk says the horse is dead. And Chris is not a fan either. Okay, guys, Panda from Hackers. Okay, I've never met this man in person. Okay, he's coming to fetch me right now. Okay, we're going to get absolutely rinsed together. We're going to talk trading. Hackers will drop some photos. We'll give you all the stuff. Okay, I've got a very busy day tomorrow. I might do a pre-record to update you guys on some levels and things like that. And obviously, I'm not going anywhere, guys. I'm just running around Dubai at the moment and trying to do lots of things at the same time. But I'll make sure you are covered this week with as much content from me as possible. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Wish me luck tonight. You're going to see me probably with a hangover tomorrow. Okay, later.